Hey everybody, welcome to today's live video. I am here with Chris Summers. He is one of the best real estate agents in Philadelphia right now. He runs the summer team. He's with KW Philadelphia, and he has created about $100 million with the Summers team in revenue, and that speaks for itself. That's amazing. He's also a real estate investor, and he's been in the business since 2004. So he has a wealth of knowledge. And I just wanted to introduce. Oh, I'm sorry. And he was the past president of the Greater Philadelphia Association of Realtors. So that's a huge accomplishment as well. So Chris has a huge resume full of great accolades. And so, Chris, I wanted to welcome you to the show. How's it going?
Well, hey, I'm doing great. It's an honor to be on your show. You're looking great. So hopefully I can share some info, with some people that are watching that maybe could inspire them, motivate them, or share some experience that could help them maybe get through this bizarre slash shifting market that we're in.
Right. And you look good being stuck at home. You don't have to worry about your hair. It's not growing out crazy. So
And my wife calls me high maintenance as we're prepping to get ready here. But when you have a low maintenance haircut, and then you can let your beard grow, and shelter, at home or in place, whatever you want to call it, it does help.
yeah, I've been trying to grow this for over 30 years now, and it just never comes in. So I just shave it.
No, you're good, man. Keep that baby face.
You had a closing yesterday, yeah? Did you close a property or something yesterday?
Yeah, man, we're having settlements frequently. I have one yesterday. I have one tomorrow, which should be fine. I was supposed to have one today. The buyer's mortgage company needed a little bit more time. You know how these mortgage companies can be. So that should go next week. But yeah, I mean, we're constantly busy. And in a weird way, like we're working more post-crisis than we did pre-crisis. A lot of it obviously is, with transactions, but also doing a lot of different things to double down on some things and sharpen some skills to kind of, be that much more positioned on the other side of this crisis.
So because you're still in business, and a lot of people are not in business. What allows you to still be in business? Why is it that you guys are still closing? And now I understand why you guys are $100 million team. What is it that makes you guys different?
Well, I mean, I think a couple, reasons. One of the reasons, that I'm bald is, I am a workaholic, I guess. But I think when you enjoy what you do, it's not as much work. But keep in mind, I mean, we're having settlements, but they went under contract a month ago, 6 weeks ago. Now the settlements today do have a lot of logistical type things you have to work through, deed packages. No one, really attending settlements other, than the buyers. But still to kind of overcome some objections, to get to that point, some buyers might be like, well, hey, should I still buy a property in this drama? But fast forward, once this shelter in place happened, like we're still putting properties under contract via virtual tours, via property videos. And the good news with us is that we've always been doing that. So to do, a property video or virtual tour really isn't like a new part of business, but it's certainly an important and critical part of business right now.
If somebody were to ask what makes the summer team different, like what is it? What is it about the summer team that makes it so great? So I was hearing some of the things you were saying, but like if you were to pinpoint it, why you guys or why you? What is it that makes you guys different?
I mean, I think years ago, when the financial crisis happened, we really stepped up our game with innovation and technology and marketing. We created the summersteam.com. We did tons of blogging, writing about, relevant, action ideas, in the marketplace, no matter what it was. Back then, it was short sales and foreclosures. No one was doing short sales or foreclosures back then. No one knew how to do it. So fast forward, we always try to attend top tier conferences such as Inman. Our favorite conference over the years has been Curator. So I'm part of an exclusive group nationwide. Now, sometimes these things might not be as important, when the market is so strong. Hone, did I pronounce your name right? Ooh, I've always, that's been a trick question. So I think,
Home runs.
yeah, I love that. You got a little rhyming and rapping. Is what do we do different? I think we're constantly working to stay ahead of the curve, but being excellent at what we do at the same time. So there's a lot of great people, that I surround myself with. Stephanie Summers, number one. She's been kind of like the secret weapon behind marketing, innovation, being ahead of the curve, and we have a lot of really, really good people on our team, and I've always been surrounded by top tier marketing consultants, which has helped elevate to get higher presence, to get more known in front of developers. But then once you have a developer client or any client for that matter, going above and beyond and doing great work to continue that relationship, to garner more referrals and things kind of grow in that nature. So I think there's really no secret sauce. It's a combination of being innovative, doing a few things differently over time, but also doing it really well and being consistent with that.
Okay, so then what should people be doing today? So it sounds like you guys have this big plan and you guys have built habits over time, right? That allows you to be really great. Why a lot of people are watching these live videos today are because they're interested in knowing like what can I do? How can I continue to create income? What can I do to ensure that I have business coming out of this? What is it do you think that they could do so that they come out of this better than they went in?
Sure. I mean, and I have to like do a disclosure thing here. Instead of kids, we have cats. So there might be one or two cats flying around. If so, don't mind them. They're a lot of fun. They're like my coworkers. But I think like anything else, whether it was the financial crisis or I was in a different profession, with the internet bubble, or now, in this virus crisis or whatever you want to talk about it, it still just gets back to the basics. And I think if people remind themselves, get back to the basics. And what does that mean? Communication. In our business, it's really all about the database. Is staying in contact with people consistently and providing relevant and timely info. For example, we have a large database of investors, landlords. So I interviewed a local attorney, Alan Nachmanson, week and a half ago. How do landlords prepare for April? And I got a lot of positive feedback, not just from our clients, but from a lot of other people too. And then in the mortgage industry, I'm like you, going on Instagram Live or Facebook Live, interviewing local people that I've worked with over the years. What's up with the mortgage market? Should you refi? Where are interest rates? And I think what you're doing now is a good example of you're becoming more well known. I've got to know you a lot more from what you're doing right now, and I think if people kind of expand their digital media presence, combined with doing great work, combined with staying in contact with clients, combined with having some sort of lead generation strategy, which leads to lead conversion, doing that consistently over time, there's really no shortcuts where, a month later you have all this business. But it's like that patience with that tree growing, 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 growing. It gets bigger, and then all of a sudden you got branches, you got referrals, you got repeat business, and over time, there could be a lot of significant gains and a lot of happiness that comes from that. Like I don't really look at the money sometimes. I look at relationships, and you feel good about helping people. You feel good about accomplishments. You feel good about settlement success, and with that long tail, long term approach, good things happen.
All right. So it sounds like there's no shortcut. There's no shortcut to any of this. You just got to do that work. One of the things that I heard was communicating with your database. So now I want to go into a little bit of details because I think with details people can take away nuggets and gems and things like that. So I want to know two things. How do you one cultivate your database? And then two, what do you specifically do to reach out to them? What are your forms of communication that you found work best with communicating with your database?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a combination of things. I mean, obviously, people are probably at this point have already been approached by people, how are you doing? Are you safe? Are you healthy? That probably should have been done 2 or 3 weeks ago. If you haven't done that, that's okay. but then within your database, like, investors or maybe a buyer, maybe the update could be, hey, you might have heard on the news. If you haven't, interest rates are at 3% and they might be going lower. If you haven't bought a property yet, this might not be a bad time to do it. If you're an investor, hey, this might not be a bad time to add one or two properties to your portfolio. If you're a potential seller, maybe the update is hey, properties are still selling. Are you interested in knowing what's happening in your marketplace? Like yesterday, I did a video of Fishtown. What's happening? What's the state of the market, with Fishtown? Literally, like as soon as I got the YouTube video back, someone emailed me. They live around the corner. They're like, Chris, our property value is plummeting. What's happening? What's going on? Well, I'm like, here's the video I just did 30 minutes ago. Um, yeah, I guess so. My point is, depending on who the person is, I think there's various different stages in terms of staying in contact, communicating, whether it's an email, whether it's a text. I utilize BombBomb video sometimes. Do a quick video, send it to them, and they can, instead of them reading an email, they're getting an email update. Or when you get to the point where you want to schedule a consultation with someone, why have a long drawn out emails back and forth or a phone call? Set up a Zoom video. It becomes that much more personal, one on one. Whether you're a seller, hon, or you're an investor looking to buy properties, or maybe you're a first time buyer, you would probably appreciate having that one on one Zoom video, a little bit more personal, in depth conversation, perhaps, than 5 or 10 emails going back and forth, or a long phone call where there might be a little ADD going on either side, that kind of thing. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. I like the idea of contacting your database, telling them things about the market. Like with Hones loans, I do mortgages and other kind of loans, and I can, like you said, just email them or say to them, "Hey, the rates are this," and then that's just a nice, easy icebreaker just to get that ball rolling. The other thing is I raise money from private investors and private lenders, and I ask like, "Hey, how's the market looking for you? Are you heavily invested in anything? Have you experienced any kind of losses?" And then we have conversations about their options. That also happens with people who have properties, and they might be hurting because either their tenants aren't paying, their job laid them off. There's all kinds of financial income problems, and so I'm available to give them solutions. And that again is just a nice way to just break in and have a conversation with them, and then make it memorable. The other thing is these YouTubes and Facebook Lives and things like that, they're recorded. So I send out an email blast. Hey, check out this interview. Tell me what you think. Listen to some of the strategies that you can do. So yeah, there's a lot of icebreakers because I think people are kind of shy or don't know what to say and they don't want to sound salesy. So I think the perfect way is just to market the education.
Yeah, I mean, there's a book that I love. It's called Exactly What to Say by Phil Jones, one of the smartest guys in real estate coach. I mean, the book's not that thick. Someone could just pick that up and read it. So if there's some fear with whoever they're speaking with, or if there's some objections, it's a nice kind of, outline tool kind of thing. But I think what you're doing now is kind of what we did, back in 2005, 6, 7, and 8, is really build that exposure, with social media. Back then, I don't even think Instagram was around yet. We were one of the first on Facebook, one of the first real estate groups that had a blog, one of the first real estate groups that had a website, one of the first real estate groups that started doing video. And yeah, obviously everyone's on these platforms now, but there's not a lot of people kind of doing it consistently. And I think, like you said, like you're doing videos or recording them. So maybe if someone's watching this, they're an agent, they're a loan officer, or whoever they are, why not start to build that content? Have a YouTube channel. It takes some time, but you have one at a time. Record some videos, get some things out there. Have platforms that you're kind of expressing the message, but maybe doing it in a little bit different way. There's a way to communicate a message on Facebook. There's a way to put content on Instagram. If someone's utilizing Pinterest, I'm not on TikTok. You're probably on TikTok. Realtors will probably screw that up too. but this is a really good opportunity to double down in tech and really kind of put yourself ahead of what other people are doing. But the thing is, you got to be consistent with it, and you got to enjoy doing it, and maybe having some people to help you. Because if you do too much of that, well, then maybe you're not doing enough lead generation and lead conversion too. So it is a little tricky to kind of navigate through those waters and kind of maximize the productiveness of one's own time.
Right. The one thing that I heard that you said a couple of times was the consistency. A lot of people see me on Facebook and I'm posting constantly. I probably do 10 to 20 posts a day. And I include and then I do videos like this. And people wonder like how I built a following. And it's simply because I just keep on doing it every single day. People want the results without the work, but the work is simply just, again, consistency. The problem that I see is that people will hear someone like you or someone like me say, post on Facebook, do things like that. And then they do it and they do it for a day or 2 days. And then they say it doesn't work. And then they quit and they do something else. And they're trying to build something and get momentum, but they never stick with it long enough to gain any mastery and also to not be top of mind for people. I think when people think about real estate agents, you're definitely top of mind. Who are the real estate agents in Philadelphia? Well, Chris Summers, definitely one of them, right? So top of mind. And I think consistency is how you become that top of mind person. And that just equals lots of results. Everybody wants to know who number one is. Number two is a far second. So being top of mind, that's number one. I think that consistency is how you get there. And I think you would agree that that's how you became one of the best real estate agents in Philadelphia, is just by being top of mind for a lot of people.
Yeah, I mean, and I'll use the sports analogies. Like I played a lot of basketball. I played a lot of tennis growing up. Um, I didn't get good, in a year. I got great, by practicing day in and day out. And I think in any profession, what you do, it is part sales. It doesn't have to be slimy, but let's face it, the more people someone's in contact with or in communication with, the greater chance that they might be working with more people. It takes time to build a database. It takes time, to build a presence on social media, but it's not a 5-year thing or a 10-year. I mean, it's important to keep doing it, but if someone's consistent with something for 6 months, a year, or they typically say if you do something for 30 days, it becomes a habit. Good things do come from that. But you're right. I think most people, they start something, they get a little disgruntled, and they stop. That gets back, to the 80-20 rule. 20% of the people in typically any profession are doing 80% of the business. And it's because that 20% is doing those same things day in and day out. And we talked about this at one of our sales meetings is, doing those little things day in and day out leads to enormous results over time. So I think if people just kind of remind themselves of that, they'll keep doing it. But the people that want the quick fix, the little sugar high, you might get a deal here or there, but it's more of a long-term type strategy.
Right. Because you don't hit 100 million by accident, right? That doesn't happen by accident. What you did, what you created, that was very intentional. But I want to hear. All right, so let's get like more comfortable. Let's talk about
All right, man, whatever you want.
When you were starting out and things weren't great, and you weren't like the great Chris Summers. You were Chris Summers, right? And now, what does that mean? The difference, right? There's like the Chris Summers that everybody knows, and then there's the Chris Summers that nobody knew, right? What allowed you to make that transition? How come you got to be great? What was it like? Because things must have sucked for you for a while. I'm sure. Like things weren't always fantastic because it never is for anybody. Growing a mastery sucks.
Yeah, I mean, life is hard, man. No, I mean, it's not, sunshine and rainbows for people all the time. I think when you go through hard times, there's a good chance if you make it through that, you're going to come out 10 times better. And I think that's the opportunity with these markets. But like on a personal side, I would talk about this at GPAR new member orientations to kind of inspire some people. I was in, not too many people remember like the internet bubble. The internet bubble is the late 90s, early 2000. If I can curse, I fucking got crushed. That was hard for me. And that was my profession back then. So I leave a profession where I made a lot of money and lost a lot of money. I'm depressed out of my mind. And a friend of mine in 2004 was like, well, why don't you get your real estate license? I'm like, okay. Now keep in mind, I'm not from Philadelphia. I don't have any family here in Philadelphia. I have no roots. I have no inherent business. I didn't really even know a lot about the neighborhoods in 2004. Yeah, but what did I do? I showed up every day. I learned about neighborhoods as much as I could every day. My first sales for the first year, were pretty much like shells, like 20 and $30,000 properties in North Philly. I remember when I was playing basketball at the sporting club. I still had a membership at the sporting club. Injured my ankle, had no health insurance. I'm showing properties on a crutch, at 28th and Somerset, going into shells, and maybe, getting a $20,000 deal where the commission's $1,000. I'm splitting half of that, with my team leader. There's some other money coming out of those checks. You got to do what you got to do. But I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the negotiation. I enjoyed learning about the industry. And I think my secret weapon was, I meet Stephanie. She's very much into a different side of the business, with the marketing, and an excellent realtor at the same time. We join forces. We do more business. We need an assistant. We do more business. People want to join our team. We live in Northern Liberties. We're knocking on doors. I'm going to NLNA meetings all the time. It just takes time. And I think sometimes people overlook the small opportunities, only wanting the big transaction. And if you get the big transactions all the time, that's fine. But I think, it's a building block, where one thing leads to another kind of thing. Long answer to your question, though.
No, I love the long answers, and I want you to get real about, like you said, you were in you had like depression, and then in 2004, it was like, hey, become a real estate agent, and you just were like, okay, like that was it. Was it pretty much that easy for you to just switch because why not?
Yeah, I mean, the good news for me is I had the financial background. My past, I was a CPA. I was a financial consultant, so the real estate exam was pretty easy. They say if you pass it the first time, that could be a problem. So I was a little concerned about that. But what did I have? I had sales skills, and I've always read self-development books. And then when I kind of, started to read more about real estate, with Rich Dad Poor Dad, or kind of tie in other sales and development books. When Gary Vee started talking about social media, when he came out with Crush It, back in the day, and just starting to do some more business and then writing about it and getting involved in GPAR. These are all building blocks. So have I been in the business for that long of a time? Well, I mean, the years are getting up there. I guess I could show it, but I still haven't been in business 20 years.
Right,
You know,
16, right, 16 years now.
right?
Yeah. The thing that I think really stands out is that you didn't have that background. You didn't have a real estate background. You're not from Philadelphia, yet you were still be able to build the business in 16 years to be one of the best. There are real estate agents who are 20 years in the business and nobody knows their name. So, what advice do you have for like the brand new agents as well as those more senior agents, but just haven't gained that traction? There's what I'm trying to find, and I know there's no like real secret sauce, but sometimes there's little gems that are really hard to find. And so if I keep asking the same question in different ways, we'll hear different answers from you. So I'm trying to figure out what is it that really makes you special, because I know you are. And I'm trying to figure that out for the rest of the people watching. And if you guys are watching, if you're just tuning in, I'm sitting with Chris Summers, one of the top real estate agents in Philadelphia, been in business for 16 years, created over $100 million in business, and was the president of GPAR. Now that's a heck of a resume. So if you guys have questions, feel free to add them. I can see you guys on Facebook. I can see you guys on YouTube. So keep adding the questions. But yeah, Chris, I'm trying to figure out, you've been in the business for 16 years. There are people who've been in the business for 20 years, 30 years, who, again, you don't know their name. And then there's also the brand new agent who haven't yet created bad habits. I'm trying to figure out where your good habits lie, how you figured them out, and what good habits maybe you continue to do, and what bad habits senior agents do that you wish they stopped.
Well, you know what? I don't know about, other people and their bad habits. All I know is about, what works for each individual kind of thing. And I really do think it gets back to basics. And I think, I remember when I first started, in Remax, no one wanted to do floor. And I would go around the office. I would ask everyone for floor. And there were some days I did floor all day, 9 to 5. Chris Summers on floor shift all day long. And I think these days, like if I was new, I'd be doing, I mean, obviously we can't do open houses legally right now, but we probably will very soon. Is you got to show up and you got to be out there and you got to be talking to people. You got to be networking with people. You got to be in groups offline and online. You got to become a trusted resource in the industry. And when you have a client, do great work, communicate, be an adversary for. If the deal's not meant to be, let it go, help them with something else. And with us, we just kind of got ingrained with real estate investing, so we own a lot of properties now. That helped me get a lot of business with other people that renovate and sell. And in turn, that helped me start to do business with other developers, that look to build and sell. And once you do a great job for someone, chances are, they're going to work with you again or refer you to someone else. So I think, the tips are you got to show up every fucking day, to have a plan, have some goals, surround yourself with other like-minded people. Because if you're hanging out with 5 other people that are successful, well, what you're doing is going to go up to that level. It's like playing tennis. When I used to play tennis with people that weren't good, my game went down. When I would play tennis with people that were better than me, I would get better. So, I mean, I hate to break the secret. Sometimes there is no secret, than to just read Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich. Read that chapter about belief. Read that chapter about desire. Look into, taking it maybe a few more steps each day and have these building blocks. And when you have clients, like, respond. I mean, I had a listing appointment like a month ago, where the person said that they were only going to contact one person. They did. The person didn't get back to them. So then they interviewed 3 other people, one of which was myself. But I think, like sales 101, you hear it all the time. One of the biggest complaints that consumers have, is the people didn't get back to them. Think about that. Whether they didn't respond to an email or phone call or a text, speed and response is critical, not just with past clients or current clients, but with prospects and so forth. And two, to just elevate yourself in any way possible, and then obviously take care of yourself. It could be exercise, it could be yoga. The more confidence you have internally, the more that's going to come out externally. So there's a lot of, kind of things in that answer, but, again, as we spoke about earlier, a lot of it is just, hard work consistently, day in and day out.
Right, definitely showing up and just being there. You were saying working the floor. That we can't do that now, but I do know that some agents would do like first time home buyer seminars and things like that, and then they would invite a bunch of people. So just to take what you were saying, maybe a spin to it would be a first time home buyer Zoom seminar. So it's the same thing, but just showing up and continuing to be there. One of the things that keeps me accountable is scheduling something with somebody else. The reason that I am active right now, literally right now, is because I scheduled this call to be with you. Otherwise, if I wasn't doing this call with you and in front of everybody else, I could be watching TV. Like I could be just as lazy as anybody else, or I can be as active as the best salesperson in the world. And it all depends on whether I schedule something for myself to do. And I think that's one of the things that people fail to do, is that they don't schedule anything for themselves. So if you're listening, whoever you are, and you're a brand new agent or even an older agent, senior agent, you can schedule things like a first time home buyer seminar, and you can do it over the internet. You just learn how to do Zoom real quick. It's not that difficult, and you can do it for free because they give you the free account gives you 40 minutes. You can do it in 30. And so things like that, if you just, like you said, show up. And then the other nice thing that I like that you said was to be confident. Be really, really confident. You said it could be exercise. For me, it's knowledge. My confidence stems from my knowledge. And so I always say, like, the more I know, the more I'm worth. And so I keep studying and studying and studying, and that's what I bring to the table. Now, other people like you might have the good looks, so you show up confident because you're good looking, right? And then that's it. So whatever the person's specialty is, whatever you're good at, maybe you're really good at with people, that showing up confidently definitely helps when you're trying to create your business. So those are the intangibles sometimes. People hear like work hard, make your calls. But then there's like the subtleties of it all. It's like how you're presenting yourself and those little things.
Well, I mean, you just said it yourself, and what's really bizarre with me, is that like someone trying to make an appointment with me tomorrow, my whole day is booked tomorrow. All of my Thursday is pretty much full. And in a bizarre way, like I've been busier post crisis than pre crisis. And really, it's a choice. Like I'm choosing to book a lot of educational Zoom calls, that are going to improve my skills individually and as a team leader. For my team, we used to have one sales rally call a week. Now we're having three. In addition, we're opening other blocks of time where we're lead generating and lead converting together, in 2 or 3 hour periods, let alone, what's happening at KW Philadelphia, let alone, the resources that KW International provides, combined with just my day-to-day meetings with clients or conversations. But I totally agree. There's a woman on my team, Dana Freeman, and keep in mind that 100 million, it's not all me. It's a large chunk of it, but I have some really, really good people on my team. She's taken Zoom already to the next level. Instead of having that buyer consultation in the office, she's had several already on Zoom. And think about that. Once you do that, and if the people kind of get it, they're not looking around, for other agents at that point. It's done.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, I'm more busy now than I was before. And the nice thing is you can do these webinars, like the buyer consultation, you can have them back to back to back to back to back. It just depends on how aggressive you want to be, right? I'm having three of these interviews this week. I could have five, I could have 10, or I could have done one, or I could have done one a month, right? So it really depends on how aggressive you want to be with your time and scheduling. A lot of people wanted to be real estate investors or entrepreneurs, and a real estate agent is an entrepreneur as well. They work for themselves. The problem with entrepreneurship is that you can do anything you want. You can do whatever you want, including nothing. And that's the problem that I see a lot of people fall into. I keep saying that this is a gift. This shutdown is actually a gift because it forces us to do nothing. It forces us to do less. And in terms of physically, so that means we get to work on our business, but we also get to work in our business. So we get to do both. Whereas before, it was only working in the business and just working it like a cog, instead of being the machinist building a better machine day in and day out. So people can book their whole entire day. It's just whether they will or not. And I think that's the showing up part.
Exactly. And there's an analogy. I think I read it from a book called The Slight Edge. And the concept over and over again is everything we're talking about is easy to do, but it's just as easy not to do. And, on any given day, especially with the shelter in place, we could be watching Netflix all fucking day. We could watch, Ozark all three seasons. There's this Lion show that's out. I haven't started that. Um, you know,
Tiger King.
Tiger King, I'll get to that. What I found myself, is like whenever I watch too much CNN, or whatever news channel, I get depressed. And I want to know what's going on. So yeah, I'm watching like bits and pieces, but for a little while, it kind of just sucks you in, and before you know it, it's 2 hours and you lost productivity and you're depressed. Things are going to work out how they are, and I think you're right. It's during these times that we have the opportunity to build those daily habits, to have, post crisis, and combined with business with solid, productive, beneficial, healthy daily habits. That is going to be the winning combination. And those agents and mortgage people, title companies, even businesses, this is like their learning curve in embracing technology where they have to, where you don't have a choice, or they do have a choice, but obviously the ones that do are going to be coming out of this that much stronger and better. And that's really where the opportunity can come. Because if you think about this for a second, there's going to be new relationships kind of made during this time. And for every new relationship that might be made, that's likely a relationship lost with someone else.
Go into that a little bit more. What do you mean by that?
Well, if you think about it, like, I've already had like a couple um, owners of properties, like their listings just expired, the end of March, or they might be expiring the end of April. I'm like, well, hey, I can't really talk to you too much. You still have a listing contract, but you could already see that person is looking to start a relationship with someone else, where there still might be an opportunity, for those people working with those people now, to save that. Hey, let's set up a Zoom call. What can we do? To plan for this. Like, have they been in contact with them the last month? I don't know. So you take those few little examples, I can guarantee, multiply that by thousands. That's kind of what's happening. And then, as we get to the other side, some people might not stay in the real estate business. It might be too hard for them. Some people might not stay in the mortgage business. It might just be too difficult, and that's okay. It's not meant for everyone. Sales is hard. Being a commission-based job is hard. It might be a little easier, when the market is great. But the paradox is this. Think about this for a second. The inventory has been so low in the past, and the amount of transactions hasn't been that great, and there's tons of new people entering the game. What happens in a shifting market, as things progress, is there likely will be more transactions and less agents. It's the paradox, like in people, the stock market, oftentimes they'll buy at the top, sell at the bottom. You kind of have that shifting kind of thing, in industries too.
Right. The thing that I like to say is people want things to be easier, right? Because I teach people to become real estate investors. People want real estate investing to be easier. It's so difficult. One, you have to find the property. Two, you have to figure out how to fund it. Three, you have to figure out how to fix it up. And then four, you have to figure out how to flip it or fill it with a tenant, right? So you have to figure out all of these pieces. And people wish it were easier. And I say, well, here's the thing. That difficulty makes the barrier to entry higher, which means that there are going to be less people in the business. Because there are less people in the business, it's easier. Because if the actual act of investing were easier, there would be more people, the competition will be higher. And then again, it's difficult because now you got to beat all of these people. With a shakeout in the market like we're experiencing, there are people who are just not going to stick with it. They're going to fall out, and whoever they used to work with is going to look for a new agent, a new real estate investor, something, and then you could fill that position. So this is an opportunity. I've been telling people that this is an opportunity that we've always been hoping for, where the market corrects a little bit and the people who maybe shouldn't be in the industry are kind of forced out of the industry because they're just not cutting it, right? Just to be honest, they're just not cutting it here. So this is where the people who want out, that's your opportunity to get in, whether it's a real estate investor who wants out of the business because they're not collecting their rent and they don't have the cash to float their expenses. They want out. They want to sell their portfolio. Great. I'm going to buy it. I'm going to buy your whole portfolio. I'm going to figure it out. right? That's your in. When they went out, that's your in. And like you were saying, there are listing agents who the seller, they want out of their contract and it's coming up and they're going to be looking for somebody else to replace them. So that, again, that's your in. So if you guys are listening, this is the opportunity, whether you know it or not, this is the opportunity that you are looking for and hoping for. You just might not have thought it was going to look like this, right? Nobody knows how it's going to look, but this is what you guys have been waiting for. Do you agree,
Yeah.
Chris?
I mean, I think here's a good analogy. Yeah, real estate investing is hard. I'll throw a little quick plug with thesummerstv.com. There's a flipping in Philly channel, for the people that like the flips. But I'm a big proponent of buy and hold, and we have a lot of investor clients. But I think as a real estate agent, I would not want to be that agent getting into the market, in 2004, 5, or 6 at the previous high. I would want to be that agent getting in during the financial crisis, taking advantage of opportunities. And I think it's like the same thing now. Like if you have a choice, would you want to get in the business 2 years ago? Tough market, not a lot of inventory, every buyer, multiple offers in any given time frame. We got a nice little comment there from our mutual friend, Amy Chen. Hi, Amy. Um, this is the time right now, but I think what you just said, it doesn't matter if you've been in business 20 years, 10 years, 5 years, a year, a day. This is an awesome time, to double down, triple down on sharpening skills, education, technology, your database. If you have the database, cultivate, add to it, just do everything you can and then some, because when we get to this other side, like, do you want to be starting like on the horse track, like right out of the chute, or do you want to maybe be all the way like halfway around the track? That's what we're talking about here. Is ramp up and utilize things that give you an advantage to be maybe not one step ahead of the game. Why not 10? Why not half the racetrack? Why not be all the way around the racetrack?
Right.
I'm getting a little pumped up here. You can tell I'm getting, I get,
that's what I want.
These
That's
things.
what I want. I want the pumped up Chris. That
I can be low key, like G-Bar, partner, KW Philadelphia, the team.
Right.
My wife rags on me because I could be monotone sometimes. But I'm getting the expressions here. I did a state of the market on Fishtown yesterday, home. I was throwing balls around like I was Jim Cramer, talking about bye, bye, bye. So hey, I'm learning too. I'm getting a little bit more animated.
So what tell me about the state of the market. What did you say in the state of the market yesterday?
Well, long story short, everyone, is concerned that, sellers like, oh, is the market going to crash? And buyers going to be like, oh, I'm going to buy things 30% below market. Hey, I mean, if you're a buyer now, yeah, you're going to have some more inventory to choose from. Number one, which is great. Number two, you're locking into interest rates of maybe 3%, maybe even lower, in the next week or two. Time will tell. But long story short, I went over like, since the stay at home or shelter in place, like the number of new listings with coming soon, the number of pending, sold. A lot of the settlements were ours. Just have to say, a lot of the settlements the last 30 days and 1.125 were the summer, Steve, but that's okay. But long story short, my prediction is maybe a little bit of a blip kind of thing. I just don't foresee tons of sellers like listing their properties immediately when this is done. We're going to lose some buyer demand. Maybe they lost a little bit money in the stock market. Maybe they lost a job. Maybe they're fearful or paralyzed. That's kind of what happened in the financial crisis, which might help the investments a little bit because tenant demand might increase as a result. But big picture, obviously the intangible could be if this virus just gets out of control, if it gets worse, well, all bets are off. But otherwise, maybe a little bit of blip. The demands for these neighborhoods is not going to change. The interest for someone that wants to live in Fishtown and walk to some of the best restaurants in the city or the cafes, be up and down Frankfurt Avenue, maybe pop into our office at 1405 Frankfurt, pop into your office, hang out. That lifestyle demand is not going to change.
Right. So, I mean, yeah, that whole area's changed completely. It's amazing. I love that area. And if, for those who don't know, it's that Girard and Frankfurt kind of intersection, all up and down. There's all of the bars and restaurants. It's a really nice area. It changed a lot, and you're right there. You're like the man to go to for that area.
Well, we're prideful, of this too, because like back in the day, we've constantly, been comp setters, selling properties at top of the market and 2.2, 2.5, 2.3. I mean, now, kind of everything is there, but just to be part of it is awesome. I'm a little bit older, but I like to hang out with the cool kids like yourself, at some of the cool, Fishtown, you know,
On behalf of the cool kids, we accept you, Chris.
awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. Uh, what do you have on your schedule? So keeping a packed schedule, keeping your pipeline full, that I think equates to success, right? We both spoke about that. You said tomorrow's packed, the day after is packed. Like, what do you pack your schedule with?
Well, I think it's a combination. Is obviously, again, we have a lot of properties under contract, so we're constantly, not just myself but my team, navigating, those types of transactions. I have several. Our team might have, 25 under contract, between now and the next 30 days, and they went under contract in the past. So in addition to that, my daily morning routine is I go in my database. I'll spend a couple hours every morning on Facebook. I'll call it attack the database. Maybe the better way to say it is, cultivate your relationships with people, um, and continue to build relationships with people. And like we said in the beginning part of our call, that could mean a lot of different things with different people. It just depends on where they are, who they are. Fortunately with ourselves, like our business is pretty diversified. We sell a lot of new construction, work with a lot of investors that want to buy vacant lots, investors that want to buy and hold. But our main clientele, for myself and our team is just your people that live in these great neighborhoods, either wanting to move in and buy, or they've been there for a while, they're relocating, they want to sell, and they want to go to someone that has the experience and the expertise. And I think the good news for listing agents moving forward, is marketing, starts to become that much more critical again. Having high level professional videos, having virtual tours, we should have those on every listings, whether it's pre-crisis or post-crisis.
Right.
So
That's what your team was doing, right? You guys were doing that before this even happened.
yeah, we've been we've been interviewed, over the years in various different publications. Like, my wife Stephanie, got a lot of notoriety in several different newspapers and nationally for kind of being the video queen years ago, and really kind of doing some cool lifestyle videos. Now, obviously, other people are doing that now and are catching up with that, which is great. But then, like anything else, you got to be kind of consistent with that and keep pumping out some content yet that's informative, that's relative, that's timely. So property videos are great, but then lifestyle videos, can be very cool too.
Now, you said that you have about 25 listings and things that you're already working on. There are people watching who are brand new who don't necessarily have that. Let's say it's a brand new agent. And let's say it's a brand new agent who's joining the Summers team.
Well, Amy was just on the call, Amy Chen. I don't know if she's still here, so this could be an answer to her.
Okay, so Amy's like, "Hey Chris, the pandemic happened and I'm so worried and I don't know what to do. And I don't have any listings. I don't have any business. I don't have a book of business. I don't have any of that. What do I do during this time?" Chris, how do you answer that? I don't know. I'm Amy now, right? What do I do? I don't have a book of business. I don't have anything going on. What do I do now to fill my day?
Well, we're going to start to build that book of business. We're going to start to add, people to your database. So anyone that you might have worked with in the past, if you're brand new, maybe it's your sphere of influence. Maybe it's other people that accountants, CPAs, insurance people, and you're going to start to build the database. Oh, there's my friend. I never could pronounce her name right too, but I love her. She's one of the top loan officers in the city. um, Maria. I never really know. I just call her boss lady. Those Russians, they're awesome. But yeah, so it gets back to basics. Like build a database. host as many open houses as possible, when the lights go back on, obviously, to do it legally, and just, be out there, be at the office every day. I know things are virtual, but things are always kind of happening. You're learning from other people. Maybe you're building that digital media presence. You're getting some cool photos, you're putting them out there and just starting to build your own brand, whether it's yourself or you're on a team.
Gotcha. The thing I like to tell my real estate investor students is always bake in time to study. Just master your craft, learn more. As an investor, there's so much you can learn. You can learn all of the creative financing strategies. You can learn things about like 1031 exchanges, cost segregation, bonus depreciation. So the things you can learn are endless. So you can definitely bake in some time to just know it better. And then I think you were saying that one way that you got good was you mastered an area. You knew the market. You learned the market. So maybe for a brand new agent, they can bake in some time to learn markets. If you wanted to learn a market, what should you focus on? What aspects of the market should you know about? What should they research?
I mean, just know the neighborhoods, know the inventory that's available. I see a lot of new agents will do agent previews of properties, and I think that's fine. Go into as many properties as you can in any given area. Obviously, when the lights are turned on again, look at the data, look at what properties have sold for. And in addition to just the housing stock, be cognizant. I mean, you might live there already, but if you don't, be cognizant of, hey, a new development is going up over here. They're going to be for sale. They're going to be for rent. A new restaurant is opening up over here. You know what? Let me learn a little bit more about this area. Let me go to this restaurant, for lunch or for dinner. So fast forward, when you're talking to a potential buyer or seller, you're you might not have sold a lot of properties, but maybe you're like a neighborhood expert in that area already. You know the data, you know what's pending, you know what's sold, you know where the cool spots are, you know where the cool kids are hanging out, whatever it is, you know what that next development is that's coming up down the street. What does that do? You said earlier that your confidence is knowledge. So I think, for any realtor, that knowledge, it could be technical, it could be the neighborhood, it could be investing, whatever it is, you got to absorb it, you got to soak it up. And I think if you like it, you're going to want more. Like after I have, a one vodka cocktail, I like it. I'm going to have another one. I read one chapter of a good book, I'm getting pumped up. I'm going to read another one. So it's that enthusiasm and that thirst for knowledge, which ultimately becomes part of that thirst for success.
Right. I think a couple of the things for a real estate agent, it could be that they can learn the days on market, the square footage of the new construction buildings on all the different blocks, because that's constantly different block by block. How many bedrooms, how many bathrooms? If I don't know, like yeah, the proximity to the restaurants and how that may affect the sale price, the difference between the listing price and the actual closing price, like that difference.
Sure.
And so by having all of those details, yeah, that gives you a lot of confidence so that when you're approaching a seller to be a listing agent, you come like you're like a different person, because there's nothing that they can tell you. You're not going to be stumped because you know it really well. So that's a very powerful thing. So they can bake in time to learn and study the MLS. Would you agree?
Yeah, I mean, one of my mentors, I mean, I guess I'm lucky because I'm not selling like a ton of center city condos. But maybe I will in the future if I set my mind to it. That's what we'll do. But being involved with GPAR, Alan Dom, I got to be very good friends with him. And yeah, both him as a mentor and being past president of GPAR, and he would talk about it all the time. That was his niche market, Rittenhouse Square. Every condo building down there, I guess, which wasn't too many, but there's enough. He would know all the inventory. He would know the layout. He would know the square footage. He would know the price per square foot by the back of his hand. So anyone that he would speak with, that knowledge obviously, would come out like that. Boom, 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 kind of thing. And to me, like you just said, knowledge is power.
Right, right. And for everybody who's still here, thank you guys for tuning in. If you guys want to learn more about being real estate agents, comment the number 1. And if you guys want to learn more about real estate investing, comment number 2. And Chris and I can follow up with you guys later. Also, if you guys are interested in learning more about how to become a real estate investor, I have weekly meetings, and I have the ticker going below. It's iescape9to5.com/meeting. In terms of when you were an or agent, do you remember a hard deal that you did? I want to pull out more of like the emotion kind of things. Like what if you were when you were, or you're still an agent, but do you remember a really difficult deal that you worked on and what the outcome was? Like, I always love good stories, and because it showcases who you are and how you got through it, because I think people can take away that kind of stuff too. Things are always going to be difficult, but who the person is in that situation says a lot. And I think people can learn from who you were in the situation. So do you recall any difficult situations that you dealt with and how you got through it?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question because, like, as you get older, sometimes I can barely remember yesterday. But I like difficult deals, and I guess for being around, as long as I have and have sold, so many properties, like sometimes that difficulty can be a challenge. And I know, what have I done in the past? If I need to reach out to people, a lot of times it might be in the mortgage end. Yeah, hey, this person's mortgage, it's going to blow up. It's a problem. Boom, boom, boom. What do we do? Well, maybe I'll go to one of my good friends. Hey, can you put this back together? Yeah, maybe it's a title issue. And I'm like, you know what? We got to switch title companies. My friend there, she can write a book about tough deals. We all can. But yeah, I think the important thing is to, like, okay, what's the solution? Can we find a solution? Oftentimes there can be. Sometimes you can't. I think what I found is, and over the years, like this just happens. It's like, people are hard sometimes. So, like, maybe some of the more difficult things, and I haven't had one of these situations in a while. Um, might just be the people. Like, some people obviously get very, very stressed out during the process, and they could be mean, they could be cruel, they could be calling you all the time, texting you, and then pointing the finger at you. Chris, how come you're not doing this? Or how come you're not doing that? And yeah, I do take that personally. And then, and what sucks is, like, that one person, might be occupying all the mental space where I have 9 other people that are fantastic, but this one person is just gobbling all the mental space. So I guess what I've learned is, over time, to just, I go to bed at night pretty much 365 days a year, feeling good, knowing that I did the best I can. The dust will settle where it will. If anyone's going to put a deal together, it's going to be me. Oftentimes I'm speaking with sellers, over home inspection, like little weird stuff that might kill a deal. I always like to say, don't step over dollars to pick up dimes.
Right.
I always like to focus on the big picture. Yeah, we're not talking about getting from, from the 10-yard line to the 20-yard line. We're talking about getting to the end zone. And if you have to give up something like a play or two or a little bit here or there, do it. Yeah, that's the end goal. Why are we going to wait 3 months for it to settle again, at a different, price, than accomplishing the goal? And that same analogy applies on the buy side and even on the real estate investing side. I would tell people that if you're going to lose a deal over a couple $1,000s, that probably wasn't a deal that was meant to anyway. So don't let emotions get in the way of long-term success. I know if I would have let emotions got into long-term success, I probably would have bought maybe 5 or 10 of the properties, that we owned, that appreciated 30, 40, 50, 60, 70% over time. So, I think there's a couple different parts of that equation. Sometimes it's just the mechanics of a deal might be hard, and maybe the right people or a different mortgage person or title could do it. But oftentimes it's in here. It's the emotions of people, and to be able to be a leader and to kind of be a guide to navigate through that. To me, that's who the better agents are, because oftentimes, I can guarantee you this, I see a lot of deals blow up. And in my opinion, if the better agents were communicating with those people better or in a more of a big picture way, chances are they wouldn't have blown up. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I helped a deal close where the seller had a water bill, and this might come up with you as well, right? When you're doing your closings, but the water company sometimes has a past bill where the actual amount isn't known, and so the title company escrows some money, and the seller was just like, I didn't know this. We should have discussed this. I don't know if I can do. I'm going to go through with the sale, and I said, whoa, take a look at this. No matter who you sell this to, every title company is going to do the same process. So whether you do it now or you do it later, you're going to have to do it. So think big picture. Let's just get this closed and just stay in touch with the title company. There's nothing to worry about. And so you just kind of walk people off ledges sometimes. Emotions are high. It's just because they stop breathing for a second.
Yeah, I mean, it's fear. It's not like I have a settlement tomorrow. I mean, it's not going to be a lot of money, but yeah, the title company is going to have to escrow a little bit for water. I spoke with the owner on the side. My theory about escrow accounts that I remind sellers is, hey, it's a savings account. You'll get the money back. Maybe you won't go to Sugar House, or if you can, or whatever, you'll get it back in a little bit. It's like just a little savings account. It's like it's a bonus. You get 8% of your money now, or 99.5, and we'll get the other little bit a little bit later. Are you okay with that? If you put something like in that kind of big picture mindset, more often the person's going to say, okay. So it's going from the small picture, to the big picture.
Right, right. And this, I find the same thing. I'm a big proponent of real estate investing, or I'm sorry, investing in real estate investing education. Like I pay for real estate investing. I pay for mastermind seminars. I pay for all of those things for myself. And then I talk to a lot of brand new people who want to jump into the real estate investing world, and they're not willing to spend even a couple of $100 on themselves yet. They're willing to do deals that are $500,000. They just want to jump in. They say, "Home, take a look at this. It's a deal, or a deal. I should put in quotations. It's a deal, and the ARV is $500,000. I get to buy it for $300,000. The rehab is going to be $100,000. I'm going to make $100,000." I'm like, you don't know enough yet. Maybe you should take a step back, because you can get really hurt in situations like this. Maybe invest in yourself a little bit, and they can't see it, and they just keep stepping over the dollars to pick up the dimes. Like they want to step over having to educate themselves properly and just wing it. They say, "Oh, I'll figure it out as I do it." And I often say, like, good investors buy properties from bad investors. The reason that 9 out of 10 businesses fail is because there's no barrier to entry. Anybody can say, "I'm in business." And just because you say you're in business doesn't mean you deserve to be in business. You're not a quality operator. And because you're not a quality operator, you may fail, and fail hard. And then what's going to happen is the person's going to turn around and blame the business. And they're going to say, "See, business is risky. I should have listened to everybody else when they said business is risky," when really they were the risky ones. It's not the industry, because there are billionaires real estate investors. I believe it's the investor and their short-sightedness. Oh, I don't want to pay a couple $100 to learn how to do $1 million deals. I much rather just wing it. And I think that's silly. So to your point, big picture, always think big picture. Yeah. So anyway, let's see. Any last words for any of the people? Any advice you would give to anybody right now who is in the pandemic and living the life of being an at-home everything? What should they be doing right now and for the next however many weeks or months we're stuck here? What is it that you would say for them to do?
Um, you broke up for a half minute there, but I think I picked up the whole question. I like that concept is invest in yourself. And sometimes it might take the school of hard knocks. Like I've become a much better stock trader and investor by subscribing to some things, paying, some money, doing some things that have made me better as a real estate investor. Yeah, sometimes someone might have to make a bad decision, to get better, by surrounding themselves with people like yourself, investing in curriculum or whatnot. But whatever field that you're in, invest in yourself. It could be, reading self-development books. I talk about reading 10 pages a day. That's my motto. It's a hashtag, 10 pages a day. You do that, that's 12 life-changing books a year. During this pandemic, should probably 20 pages a day. And if someone did that instead of watching all the Netflix series or whatever, think about the difference of production. Think about instilling a little bit more exercise or yoga or whatever that is that makes you better in here from a mindset standpoint. That leads to action. So if you don't have the mindset, everything else we're talking about is fucking useless. So it's got to start here, to create the energy, to have the goals and the beliefs and the confidence to get better and and to go here. And then obviously, have patience to get there. I love that story about, the investing. People gotta like invest somewhere, to be better. There's a lot of things that you could do to be better. Or if you make you're not gonna be right every time. I think people can learn through the trade itself. And for every deal that I do, I always learn something. For every day that might occur, there's always something that you could be aware of to say, you know what, I learned this, or maybe next time this might be a better way to communicate that. Or, hey, I'm going to become a professional Zoomer. I'm going to know Zoom technology like the back of my hand right now, so you could utilize that, post crisis, because that's going to be a great tool. Your database, whatever it is. Not for nothing, like time has flown by. I think we've been on here over an hour.
Hour and 6 minutes to be exact. And
Okay.
if
A
you
lot,
see,
a lot of bandwidth. A lot of bandwidth.
yeah, Amy wants us to come back and talk more about the real estate investment side. I focused on the agent side because I wanted to highlight you and you in your business. I mean, you're an investor as well, right? So we can definitely come back to that and talk about that at another time. But I just really wanted to highlight you and all of the great things that you've done in the industry and for the industry. We didn't even talk about what you've done for the industry, fighting for the tax abatement, fighting for all kinds of housing rights, real estate investing rights. So you're a big proponent for all of that. And so thank you for all that you do for the industry. Not
You're
just what
welcome. If people follow me on Facebook, Chris Summers, you'll see a lot of my just kind of typical real estate industry, type things. That was one way for me to give back, was to become involved with GPAR, and being president last year was a great experience to be involved in that level. And kudos to GPAR and PAR, because I think just yesterday, like a huge call to action, was put out, to have, real estate be essential, in the eyes of the state. Obviously, under all the safety precautions, under all, be intelligent, with social distancing and gloves and all that. But I want to give kudos, to our associations for really, putting on that full court press, or that push to like, hey, they're lobbying, for every realtor here, in the city of Philadelphia, let alone the state, knowing, the importance of the safety precautions at the same time.
Absolutely. So yeah, there are a lot of people. It's almost like sometimes a little bit of a thankless job because a lot of it happens behind the scenes. So yeah, a lot of people deserve to be thanked for all of the things that are beneficial to all of us real estate agents and investors, because it affects us, it affects our livelihood, and you guys, whatever you guys fight for makes it better for us. We all benefit. The other nice thing that I see you do is you give shout outs to the other real estate agents that you work with, even though they're from another brokerage, another team, and all that. So that's really cool that you do that as well. So you're doing a lot of great things for the industry.
Well, I thank you. I appreciate that. And those agents that deserve shout outs, especially, when you have a tough deal, sometimes it's like you're so relieved it's over. I never want to work with that agent again. And if that happens, like, the other agent might not know about that, but if that happens to me in the future, if I have 3 offers come in and one was from some agent that I had a horrible experience with, And if two offers are exactly the same, who's gonna get that offer accepted? You know what I mean? So I think, the big picture when you look at this, is cooperation is important. Professionalism, is important. Like kind of stampeding and being super aggressive and doing things that might be a little shady and whatnot, that's going to come back to you over time. So I think, the people that are really good in the industry care, share, they give, and that does come back to that analogy, in my opinion, kind of comes back over and over again. And the agents, doing settlements in this environment are having to go above and beyond, because we're in a little bit of a different, scenario. So I always highly respect, no matter who they are, what brokerage, they might be with, I respect good work. And then what does that do? That makes the client experience on both sides of the transaction better. Because you're working together to get to the finish line, not, like this.
Right. And there's no reason why two agents should be like this, because you guys have a common goal. So it's kind of counterproductive to be butting heads. And like you were saying, future listings and future deals, your names will cross again. And that's that's why your business is so big and booming, because you've developed those relationships over time and you kept things good because you
Correct.
see the
The
bigger.
relationships, kind of transcend. It's not always just, client, and the Summers team. It's a Summers team, and every other, agent that we're working with, throughout the city, every, mortgage company that we're working with, every title company that we're working with, the appraisers are contacting me. I pretty much know them all by names. I might not meet them, but we're talking on the phone a little bit. So I think little things matter over time.
Right. And I think that's been the recurring theme for this call. It's all the little things. People are looking for that one big hit of what's going to change their business overnight. And the answer is nothing. It's the little things. It's just the little things over and over and over. And I think that's the big thing. That's the big thing to take away from this whole call, is to do a bunch of little things really well every single day. And then you look back and you're like, wow, that's awesome. All right. Well, let's wrap it up. For those who want to reach you, Chris, how can they reach you?
IG, Facebook, Twitter, the Summers team, our website, thesummersteam.com. You just want to call. My cell's 267-987-4443.
Well, fantastic. Well, thank you so much, Chris, for all your time, your generosity, your wisdom, your plan of attack, everything that you've done for the industry as well. So thank you. And for everybody watching, thank you guys for staying on for this long. It's been a great call. I'm Hone Tai, and I will see you in the next video. See ya.
Thank you, sir.